You didn't know he
Don't worry about it. It's just locker room talk.
Hi, everybody. It's Eleni, also known as Strong Forecheck. Welcome to Locker Room Talk. I'm here with my lovely co-host, the one and only GamerDoc. This is the last episode of our first season. We had a little bit of a delay for various reasons, but it is so worth the wait. We have a great guest. We're feeling very refreshed and invigorated and ready to bring you some news, some chirps, and some really memorable moments. So, first of all, lots of things have been happening in hockey.
Lots of things have been happening in
hockey. What are your thoughts on the things that are happening? I
also am not feeling super invigorated right now, but this show is invigorating me. I was in Boston, so sorry to everyone who I didn't say hello to, but I was only there for a very short time. They dedicated a baseball field to my grandmother's sister, my great aunt. She played like in the professional baseball league when the men went away. And so they dedicated a baseball field. So I got home from a train this afternoon, or a train, an automobile, and I'm a little je suis fatiguée and a little.
But you look great.
What?
You look great.
Oh, I didn't hear that. So you're cutting out a little bit.
You look great.
Oh,
thank
you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But anyways, this show invigorates me. You invigorate me. You know, we said this is the last show of this season, but we will be back. Or we'll be back? Can we say that?
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Well, we got to talk to our agents and their agents' agents. Our people will call your people. So there's some big news today. Obviously, the NWHL is dead. It is no more.
It died.
It's a figment of the past.
Yeah.
Now we have the Trade Federation. I mean,
Premier Hockey Federation.
I forgot the name for a second.
But it's good because I got you. So,
we're not. You always have me.
Yeah, so it's the Premier Hockey Federation. It kind of leaked the night before. I don't think we necessarily really know how. Doesn't matter. But so we all kind of knew the night before they announced it. And I kind of feel like maybe that's why it was a little bumpy. And like, I don't know, maybe if we were surprised by it, maybe it would have been worse. I don't know. But there were some opinions, and like my opinion has evolved. Probably your opinion has evolved. And that's great. And I think it's going to be cool. And we have a guest later that we're going to talk to a little more in depth about the rebrand. But we'll have to see how it looks on jerseys and stuff next year.
Yeah. I want to know if my Buttes jersey is ever coming and what logo it's going to have on it. I'm excited. I'm fine with either, honestly. If I get an old school jersey, whatever. If I get a new school jersey, whatever. I'm excited. But
I think it's taking a longer time because they're having CJ's cat like deliver it. Balto. And it's just kind of a far walk for
I hope it doesn't get too hot.
I think they'll be fine.
Okay. So I think the only really other piece of news we'll cover is I just want to talk about it because of how dumb the name is. How interesting the name is. The My Y Tour. USA v Canada announced a tour. So let me just read how they announced the My Y Tour. Okay, ready? Every athlete has their why, whether it's their team, their family, the next generation, or just for the love of the game. It's why they work hard, why they push themselves to achieve their goals, their driving force to succeed. You know why women play hockey? Because it's fun.
That's my why.
That's my why.
Actually, you know what my why is? I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I think it's important to be transparent. My why is I absolutely love eating donuts, and anything that's going to make me feel hungry for donuts, I'm going to do it. And nothing makes me hungrier for donuts than playing a hockey game.
Hungry for apples.
So,
yeah. I think that is a very valid point. I also play hockey so I can eat pizza.
Pizza, also a good why to have.
And I know we all want to be inspirations, right? We all want to make hockey better. We all want to inspire future generations of girls. But that's not the reason we all started playing, and that's not the reason we grew the love in the game. That's why we're still working in hockey. That's why we do work in hockey. And assigning other reasons sometimes feels forced, and it feels like we're once again held to a higher standard. I don't know. That's how I feel. How do you feel?
I agree. I think that also a lot of times, like, I feel like non-male athletes get slammed with like not being good role models when they're just doing like normal human shit. Like
And
I
BIPOC
posted
men.
a picture of myself in a bathing suit today because I looked hot, and everyone's like, how dare you? What about the children? But like,
Think of the children.
the stuff that male athletes do, and then like if you're not a dude, you can't get away with it. I think that's garbage.
Yep.
And I think that stuff like the My Y tour can be marketed in a way that could maybe avoid that, but it's not being done that way.
Right.
It's very much being presented in a way where like if any of these athletes did anything that was not like PG or G consumable, it would be like a huge deal. And I just don't think that's fair to hold anyone to that standard, but especially not people who you're barely paying enough to like even just play the sport, and you want them to do this other job. Raise your own kids. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. It's the same as with in the NFL. There's this big debate because Cam Newton, well, as of last week, didn't have a job. And, you know, with Colin Kaepernick, all of these black athletes who were getting kicked out, right? Getting not signed for teams where it's like there's an issue with a white athlete and they try and rehabilitate him or bring them into the fold or change the things, whatever. Like all the stuff that happened with Johnny Manziel, he had so many second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances. So yeah, it's the standard is an issue. We must be role model. You must be role model. You must not show your butt.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they could have branded it better. Yeah. But I'm excited to see them play. I mean, hockey's hockey. It's going to be good hockey.
Hockey's hockey.
That's a fact.
Hockey is what hockey does. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Many people are saying that.
So many people are saying that. Speaking of many people, our guest tonight is known by many people.
So many people know this person.
Her apartment's filled with leather-bound books.
It's true. Very important mahogany.
It smells of
bookcase,
rich mahogany.
I've been told. So this week, for our final interview with our final guest of season 1, we have the Riveters GM, Anya Packer. You may have known her as Anya Battaglino. She played for the Whale for a time. At a time, actually, there is a great gif of her playing against her now wife, Madison Packer. But today, she's the GM of the Riveters, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about the rebrand, what's going on with the Riveters, what we can expect, and of course, we have some very important food questions.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's not wait. Let's do it right now.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Anya Packer, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. The baby's asleep. It is a beautiful night here in the Packer household.
Asleep for now. You know, we haven't made you, yell or laugh or anything too loudly yet.
He is very close.
Yes.
So if we start getting into like screaming, I won't stop. I will wake him up, and then Madison will go take care of it.
Good. So first question, it has to be the first question. We're now, what feels like it was yesterday, but now also a year ago, pretty close to the rebrand. It's not the NWHL anymore. And for you, you've been there since the beginning, right? So this is, you're in the management now, and before you were a player. What does this feel like to you?
So I have like a PR answer that probably is like, it's all amazing, but like there's a whole other side that definitely feels sad. I think there's always a like mourning of a new rebrand where you're like, I miss the old brand. I think as I've kind of gotten away from it, I like the Federation. I think that's kind of got a zip to it. But at the end of the day, I like why we made the decision. So it gets me to a point where I like the decision more. I don't think about things as a cisgendered female the way that somebody that identifies differently or that a trans person might. So I never look at something from the perspective of, is it harmful to me to identify the league by gender? I think it's annoying that women have to do that and men don't. And I think on top of all of that, it is really frustrating when I walk somewhere when I feel like I very visually look like a female and say, I'm a women's professional hockey player, but it comes off my tongue. And so I think that this will help remove that for athletes, because I always felt like it denigrated my skill set. And so as an athlete, I like it. As somebody on the other side, I like it. But there's a whole part of me that was like, this was so sad. So, I could always like rah-rah something, but I really think it's a good thing. As a player, I think I would be proud. As a staff member, obviously, I love something new.
I think it's cool that all the NWHL merch is like vintage now. Unironically, I think it's cool because like I was there for the first All-Star game, right? And I know a lot of people who were there for the first All-Star game, and now all that stuff is like it was already enshrined in history, but now it's like extra enshrined in history, and all of us have all this like stuff that's part of history, which is cool.
It's actually sick. Someone said like, "Oh, I'm really upset, right? Like, because I have all old gear." And to me, that feels very like, if you know, you know. Like, I go nuts when I find old WNBA gear. Like sometimes Jazz Baker will like post like this thrift store online has this old WNBA. I'm like, cash. I'll give you cash. Because before the logo change in the W was like, you really cared. And I started like really jumping into the WNBA like 4 years ago, not even. So I feel like I missed a whole culture of like women's sports that I was not a part of. I hate that for me. I want to pretend I was there.
I ordered a Boots jersey like a month and a half ago, and they emailed me and they're like, "Oh, orders are delayed for like a month and a half." And I was upset. I was like, "I want my CJ jersey. I want her to sign it. I'm ready to go." And it makes sense now that all these like suppliers and things. So when I decided to go to medical school, I went because someone who I admired when I was really, really young told me that doctors were cool. And I'm just so stubborn that that's why I went to medical school. But when people ask me why I went to medical school back then, I was like, oh, I wanted to help people, right? I wanted to help people. So like there's always the PR answer and then like the secret answers, right? But I trust you because it makes sense when you guys said it. It was like, we're not women's hockey. It's just hockey. It makes sense. It makes sense. And I really like that aspect. I'm a Star Wars fan, so Federation feels cool to me too, you know, Trade Federation.
I'm with you. I think like there's a lot of there's a lot of nuances that actually make me really like it. Day one, I was like,
you're like,
I was like, but I love it now because there's a lot of different inroads that you can connect to it.
Yeah.
I actually love the hologram style logo that we keep using. And I would like a holographic t-shirt. So if that could just come out already, I would be hyped.
You're like, I need holographic fashion, please.
Yeah. Like,
so what are we?
Have you said that in the last 10 years though?
Yeah, no. What are we calling it? Like, what are we calling it for short?
I don't know. I've been saying the Federation, but then I'm like, this means so many things, right?
The Feds.
Yeah, the Feds.
I was gonna say we should start calling it the Feds. Like, ironically, so that. You know, when people hear you talk about it, they're like, the federal government's doing what? Yeah, last night the Fed released these new t-shirts. They're pretty cool. And you're like, you're wearing federal government branded.
You're like, I love the Feds.
I love the Feds. Yeah. Love the Feds.
Big Fed fan.
So we had, you know, in our news section, we talked about your guys' news and then the PW's news. There were a couple things that, you know, left over with the still PWHPA players there and the Olympics coming up and the, you know, the world's just finishing. Like, no one thought they were coming back to the league this year. Like, no one thought that was happening in 2021. Obviously, you know, we would all benefit from one unified hockey league. Do you think that this rebrand is also like a step closer to PW players coming back as well?
I would love for it to be. I think there's some traction to a new brand.
Yes.
Because you can get you can evoke a different feeling from a new brand. So I think that certainly has to play a part in it.
Yeah.
I always feel like we would be stronger together. I played in the C-Dub, I played in the N-Dub. I like to now think of the N-Dub as like a time ended and like a new thing has formed. It's kind of like the NWSL when they were like, we're actually just going to like lean into this and fix it internally. Because it was and is sometimes still a dumpster fire, but like there's a lot of just internal lean in, you know, when the Olympic players came back 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was, and they were like, come to our games. And then they started selling out like crazy. You know, you recognize how much a player's intrinsic brand means. So do I think that this is a step forward? I hope it is. I want it to be. I think that there's a lot of things that we're going to do this season that continue to become those building blocks and steps. There is so much like change in our entire org that sometimes the stain still remains, even though it's a very different organization. I can see it from my own like budget that I have and what we used to do and what we do now, just how different the culture is at the Riveters. So I hope so. I mean, we would always be stronger together. There's never like divisive branding doesn't work for anybody.
Right.
You know, so totally. I think I love so many of those players. I played with them forever. I played with them in college. I played with them in the pros. I want them all back. I have no hard feelings. I literally love them all. And I think every single hockey player on the ice that can and should be playing on TV or all these places should be together.
The Riveters have kind of always been the flagship enterprise. I don't know if that's like a controversial thing to say, but it's true. And we all know that it's true. And I don't think that we should pretend that it was ever not true. I think it's cool. So everyone has always had really strong opinions about the Riveters. I think, you know, especially in the beginning, it was like really strong, good opinions. And there's been some controversy over the last year. And I don't think that it would be right for us to pretend that that hasn't happened. But, you know, a lot has changed since Lake Placid with the franchise. And you're probably, to me, the biggest piece of that. And I was just wondering, what do you feel like in your time so far as a GM, what are some of the things that you feel like you've tried to instill in the locker room, in the team culture, that you feel like is going to make a difference moving forward?
Yeah, I think first it's about hiring different people, because I think a lot of the problems, and I always say like a fish rots from the head, which is a harsh term, but like it is very true. You know, you have the top, and then you have what the top says is okay. And then you kind of delineate down from that, and like people figure out what they think is okay and what isn't okay. And so I think a huge piece of it is that there was the belief at the top that we should court unsavory partners. And I don't think that that's something that we should, as leaders, make the decision for our athletes. I think that we should give them the autonomy to be able to work with who they want. And so, especially if it's somebody that's going to cause controversy, what a compromising position to put our athletes in. And then from there, I happen to be right in the middle of it all as the head of the PA. So regularly while in Lake Placid, I was having these meetings where I was engaging with these athletes to see where they're finding each other. Is it in a place of hate? Is it in a place of strife? Is it in a place of challenge? And it wasn't. So I did a lot of mediating. And then at that point, I recognized that it's not necessarily that these athletes are like very firmly against one another by way of like, I have a totally different belief as you. I'm not going to go in the corners and fight for you. It was, I'm going through this exploration of what ownership and leadership is telling me to do. So when I got in, I was like, let's change that right off the bat. Okay. We're going to hire all new people. We're going to find a way to draw a line in the sand to say, here, now you've educated yourself. Now you understand what may or may not be appropriate, and make that decision. If you're going to make a decision that I, as an owner or leader, not owner, can't agree with, you have to stand on that. You know, I can't gatekeep everybody's ability to speak on things or to engage with brands or to even like sign a deal with a partnership that I might not agree with, but they certainly have to face that. So there was a lot of conversation from each individual athlete as we signed contracts to what the Riveters' belief is. And I always say, like, I want to change hockey culture. I want to make it more inclusive. It doesn't necessarily help us to just introduce people to hockey and not create a culture shift. Because as a gay youth going into hockey, it wasn't safe. I stayed through it and endured, but I was bullied, picked on, and harassed for a long time. So just introducing gay youth to that broken system doesn't help gay youth. So, you know, in a long story short, what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to create cultural change by hiring different people to infuse the Riveters with different ideas. And I enjoy that we carry that burden. I think it's important, and I think somebody's got to. And if I have to be under a microscope, I'm very proud of the people around me that continue to either educate our athletes, because we do a whole bunch of education behind the scenes, or that are willing to stand beside them and say, hey, that was probably the wrong call. So let's try to make it right now. I think there's a lot of burden in it, but I'm happy to face that because I think that there's a good culture here that can make those changes.
It's also hard because NHL players get so many resources. They have agents, they have people training them in public speaking, they're doing interviews, they're doing all these things that they've been trained to do, and right now, like, we don't have the resources for it. Like it's just not like there's just not the resources for it. There will be one day, but not a lot of hockey players have agents. Not a lot of hockey players have been on, so many times when it was either on open ice or on locker room talk, people are like, this is the first time I've done this. And it's like, that's so interesting. And also they're young, right? They're so much younger. Like with decisions.
You're from a national team, dude. Like people don't always have the resources that you think they do.
Yeah.
So to hold, and this is any hockey player, but to hold a hockey player to the same standard that you would a basketball player is just different because of the different investments. I mean, like football in college, what those athletes have by way of resources is like night and day from what hockey players get. I mean, we even joke like the men's team at BU got so many more like educational benefits that we didn't get as women. And you know, the idea was, well, a woman has to go get a job. These guys can go play in the show. So, you know, if we're going to give somebody a tutor, like, I'm like, well, then give it to me because I have to get a job, dude. Like, you know, and so it's tough, but across the board in women's sports, they just get less, right? So like there's less to begin with, there's less training and education, and then there's less opportunities for these athletes to shine. So they see an opportunity, whether it's appropriate or not, and think, oh, that's millions of eyes. I'm in. Yeah. And it's like dangling this carrot of fame in front of athletes that just they should know better, but they maybe don't. And so it's a lot of problems. And so I try to constantly innovate and bring more resources in, find different ways to get resources. We got new ownership, which is great, infusion of cash, things that we need to bring more of those in. But it's a resource grind. What we have an entire operating budget in for the entire Riveters organization isn't even close to what one NHL's PR budget is. Yeah. And that's just to stifle out the problems that exist, not necessarily to educate their athletes to not create them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's educating those athletes and not creating problems.
They're just telling them to delete their whole Twitter. That's all they're telling them to do.
Ever liked,
smash and burn. Smash and burn.
Every week we ask what may or may not be a controversial food question. Kind of depends on how you see it.
Yeah.
This week it's kind of more of like a conversation and less like a speed round of questions, because these are like difficult intellectual food questions.
Use your creativity though. Don't be afraid to be creative. You know, step outside of the box.
I don't want you to worry about upsetting people here. Like, say whatever your heart feels. It's important. Okay. So the first question: in a situation where you needed to substitute some kind of food for a puck, what would your choices be and why?
And why?
First, based on only the visual, would probably be a burger. I feel like a burger would make some sense.
Just
right? So already
meat
frozen, like
splatter.
Like a frozen patty. Like in the freezer, grab the patty, slap it down. It's a little too big, so like I don't know about all that. You could probably, weight would be off here, but you could probably get a mold and cut some watermelon. That would work. Freeze that. That's probably the closest you're gonna get.
I think the frozen burger patty is actually brilliant.
The burger patty
is really smart. I was thinking about chipwiches.
See, that would be to unlock a different part of my brain. Cookie sandwich would work. Not as well as burger.
No, not because a cookie sandwich is falling apart. As soon as you pass that once.
But that's part of the fun. Because then you get 3 shots to hit the net. Both cookies and the ice cream. Any one of them hits the net, that's a goal.
You could actually shoot it and it would break into 3. And then someone definitely wouldn't save it. So like Shelly's out.
Yeah, Shelly's out.
At least 2 goals. More goals than I've ever scored in the NWHL in my career. So that's amazing.
I'm just imagining though, like after, I mean, I guess it would stay cooler on the ice, but just when it starts to thaw, just the bits of meat just breaking off and hitting you in the eye through the cage.
If you block that shot, that is a bad day.
It's a bad day.
It does not sound sanitary.
It's a bad day.
Yeah, start again.
All right, so
USDA is gonna shut us down.
So if you were to same question, you're gonna substitute this now a stick.
Food? Sugarcane. Done. I know my answer. That's incredible. That was the best answer I've ever given for anything in my life.
What is a sugar cane?
Like what they make sugar out of.
Oh.
Sugar cane. No, Panda eats bamboo. That was dumb. But either of those, both.
Bamboo also a good option.
Bamboo, great option.
Do people eat bamboo?
Yeah, you put it in stir fry.
Bamboo shoots. You have it in noodles, ramen.
All the time. It rocks.
I'm learning so much.
You know what? They look like rectangular matchsticks. They're fire.
Yeah, they're really good.
I'll change my answer. It's definitely bamboo.
Okay. All right. So, goalie pads. How are we feeling about goalie pads?
If I could get a large very extra large marshmallow. Because then it would absorb. I would have no rebounds.
That's
That would be
true.
incredible.
You're
Yeah,
coming
no
up with
rebound
these
at all.
so quickly.
I'm like, guys, you put me in food. I love food. I'm like pregnant through COVID. Food is my favorite.
Last question. Helmet.
No good answer, because no helmets are even good enough right now, and they're made out of plastic.
I think
Spaghetti, like a hard spaghetti exterior with like peeps lining the interior.
Ooh, okay. So like
You know what?
when
So,
you
like,
make
it's
like
the
stuffed
whole
shells,
sail.
what?
like stuffed shells, but the stuffing is your head.
Yes, like it's okay. So it's head, and then it's like partially stale peeps, but like the head of the peep is hitting your head, so there's a little air cushion,
Yeah.
and then like a manicotti. Well, no cage, because you want to see the face.
I'd
All
use
of it.
hollowed out watermelon.
That's a better answer, but
No.
I did some combos so that there was air to save the brain.
I didn't know what was just happening down there. I was not quite sure with the peeps.
I
feel
was
like mine's
following.
better.
I was following. So
Okay, so 3 out of 4. I would say 3 out of 4. Good job. That's passing in most schools. So, the name of this show is Locker Room Talk. That evokes different thoughts and feelings in different people's mind when you hear that phrase. But what does locker room talk mean?
I can only imagine locker room talk to be smack talk, because it's the only way I function. I do it in my day job. I do it at my house. I do it with my son. I can't live my life without chirping somebody. I don't know how I'm going to be a general manager, because I swear I'm going to walk up to Nate Oliver and be like, sick, Ty. And he's going to be like, what?
If you're mean to Nate, everyone on the Buttes will just bench clearing brawl, attack you.
I think he's
100%.
probably the only GM that I wouldn't try that with, actually.
Yeah, he might only be the only GM though that would be like, good one. Like he would
That's
be the
true.
only GM that would like absorb the chirp.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair.
Because if I feel like if I chirped, I don't know. Well, a lot of the GMs are new. I'm excited to like really get into those relationships. But if I chirped Sam, I could chirp Sam. I could definitely chirp Sam. She's an assistant GM, but I could chirp her.
Can you film it?
If I chirp Jack, what would he say? He'd be like, whatever.
Please
That's
film
been fun.
this.
Yeah.
You have
I
to
think you should do a
definitely chirp somebody.
GoPro. Definitely wear a GoPro and chirp every GM and then post it. That's content.
That's who I am. Or like I used to be, when I didn't play, I'd stand on the bench and I'd be like, your skate's untied.
Anya,
And I'm like, can you stop talking?
this makes me feel so good. And talking about the double standard and all the things that exist for women, I have to tell you a story, and everyone at Locker Room will talk a story. So I'm also a chirper. But what I say, so my best chirps are, you look like you like Nickelback. I bet you your favorite type of sandwich is an egg salad. Your skate's untied, and then I'll take their name and I'll just say it incorrectly. So I'll just their last name, and I'll just say, like, if it's like Copeland, I'll just say like Cooper.
Love it.
And I got suspended from a beer league game for
For
chirping.
chirping.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
By
That's
the male commissioner.
You have to chirp as hard as possible, but not like in a crazy way. Like, okay, in college, I was on the ice. Poulin goes, "You want to know how much you weigh with no teeth in your mouth?"
Oh,
I go, "What? What are you talking about?" I was like, "Doesn't make any sense." So we get back to the bench, and I'm like, in English, it's, "I'm gonna knock your teeth out." That whole sentence didn't need to happen.
She made it sound so much more aggressive and like.
The whole sentence. Yeah, it was hilarious though. We're dying. We're like, that's the Frenchest thing we've ever heard you say. But she was dead serious, just trying to say, "I'm gonna knock your teeth out." And I'm like, first of all, I would cry. Second of all, the whole sentence made it hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like, stay next to her, like, I can't defend you. I have to just let you live with that chirp. But
I'm
that's
gonna
not
use that.
Do you want to know how much you weigh with no teeth in your mouth? And I was like, not very much
It's a good
different, because my
it's a
teeth
valid
aren't heavy.
question. I actually don't want to know, but I appreciate her asking.
Probably, I weigh 142 pounds, probably 141.7. Probably not much.
I gotta know more good chirps. What are the best chirps you've ever heard or said?
Someone one time, my last name is ridiculous, and someone was like, "Beg, who are you?" And I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. Oh.
So I like that one. The last name mess up is pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
One time someone asked me where I played college hockey, but that was terrible because I was like, BU. Anyway, and then we moved on. But like, you have to kind of like take something that has nothing to do with the situation and just throw them off. Like sometimes like your like egg salad sandwich is like a sick one because like sometimes they'll be like, oh my God, like I just ate Brussels sprouts. And they're like, what? And you're like, what? Come on, want to go? Like, or Maddie used to, like we would be playing against each other and Madison would like hit me like pretty hard. And she'd be like, want to go? And I'm like, no. Like, one, did you take the garbage out? Two, leave me alone. Like, just get away from me, please. Like, can you stop following me? That's what I say that to people all the time too. Because I'll like go to like do a deep escape and like I'll make the pass and they like try to escape. I'm like, can you stop following me? Creep.
I'm gonna use these in my men's league though, not my women's league.
Yeah, you have to find someone that can receive the chirp. That's rule number one. Sometimes I chirp Madison at home and then I'm like, this is we're like in like a safe space. I need to stop chirping my wife. It's mean. But it's funny to me. And then I have to be like, I'm sorry. I gotta find someone ready for the chirp.
I'm gonna go ask my wife if she's ready for the chirp.
Please do it.
Please do it.
Do you know how much you weigh with no teeth in your mouth, Amber?
You should ask her. I want to know what her answer is to that
You
question.
come up with like a real answer though.
Oh my God. Okay, here's the thing. Everybody get, not after the show, everyone in this call and also at home, take your phone, go film your buddy or your partner and ask them that question on camera. Do you know how much you'd weigh with no, what is it? With no teeth in your mouth?
But say it with like a crazy French accent because it was her first year at BU, so she barely spoke English. Say it with like an intense French accent.
Do you know how much you would weigh with no teeth in your mouth?
Honestly, I thought I just brought me right back.
Yep, thank you.
I think you can just end the show there.
All right.
I don't think we need an outro at all.
Anya Packer, this was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for stopping by. What else do you want people to look forward to aside from tuning into every Riveters game and buying all the jerseys?
Well, that's a fact. We're rolling out 3 jerseys. I know I've teased it a few times. I'm really hyped for all 3 of them. Something that I want for everybody to be, first of all, Rivs fans, that's number 1. And 2, be prepared for us to win the cup. So obviously be cheering for us all season long, because then at the start of the season, you will pick the right team. If there was a sports betting, you should certainly put some cash down, but I don't think we're there yet. At the end of the day, truthfully, I think that we should all be maybe a little nicer to each other. If we did all those things, everyone would be in a better spot. I think that would make me happy. And if Hockey Twitter would continue to build a safe space, which I think we do. I think we call out a lot of not niceness, and I think that's all really important.
Yeah.
All of these things and more I want, but mostly for the Rivs to win the cup.
Well, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending, you're a very busy woman, so you have blessed us with your time, and have a wonderful day.
That was a great interview with Anya. You can follow her on Twitter. You can follow her
lovely.
on Instagram. It was lovely. I thought it was lovely. I hope you thought it was lovely.
Yeah.
She posts lots of pictures of her child, Waylon, who is adorable. He's super cute. I think he just turned 1. So if you need it enticing, please seriously go follow her because they're super cute pictures.
Yeah.
And no better way to wrap up our last guest, our last interview of the first season, I think.
That was incredible. This has been, I can't believe it's been 10 episodes. We had this idea earlier in the year to make a non-sterile talk show. And now we've done 10 episodes. Eleni, it's been an absolute pleasure. But I do want to give the biggest and warmest of thank yous to Michelle J., who has been behind the scenes doing all of the work while Eleni and I ate donuts. And this would not, literally none of this would happen without her. So, Michelle.
Literally a hero.
Literally a hero. I have a small shrine to her in my house. Some hair.
How small?
Don't worry about it. Anyways.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Sure, we'll talk later.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. So, anyways, thank you, Michelle. And lastly, but not leastly, thank you to all of you who have tuned in, engaged with us. You probably don't know this, but we love the smack talking on Twitter. We love the debates and the things. We love it. Go film your video with your partner right now, please. Right now, show it to me. Tag me on Twitter. Tag Eleni. Tag Michelle.
I will retweet it. I'm not kidding. I really will. So
I'll retweet it if it's funny.
I will retweet it even if it's not, because I love you that much and I
Wow.
believe in you.
Holly, I'll retweet yours.
Only Holly's.
But so thank you if you tuned in. You made this weird little podcast successful, and we're gonna do it again. We're coming back next season. If you have ideas, hit me up in my DMs. Ways we think we can improve the show. We'd love to. We always want to get better. We want to make this entertaining. We're gonna. If you have any skit ideas, maybe fan submitted skits. I don't know.
Could be. Who knows?
Who knows? Find out next season on
Locker
Locker Room Talk.